Hi, this is my first ever build video, and I'm documenting the build of the E-Starter trainer aircraft, which looks to be vintage. This was given to me by a very generous friend of mine at our flying club called Glen Johnson. So Glen gave me this kit, and you can see on the box that it's probably vintage because it's using an old-fashioned radio, and it's also using batteries that are NIMH batteries, which were predecessors to the LiPo batteries. So the kit comes pretty complete, as you can see in the picture here. It comes with a prop. It comes with pretty much everything you need. So it's classified as an almost ready to fly plane. The only thing you need to add is the electronic speed controller. It came with a nice motor, but it's brushed, so I'm going to put a brushless motor on it. And it comes with landing gear, but I need to, what I'm adding is an electronic speed controller, receiver obviously, and a brushless motor and servos. Started building the airplane, and the first steps were to glue in a screw here and add it. So, and this is going to attach the wing. I've added some of my own servos that I provided. It came with the push rods for the servos and, as you can see, tubes here. So I've added I glued in the tubes, and it came with push rods that already had a Z-bend in one end. And so these are the two halves of the fuselage. Next, I'm going to work on the wing. The wing is a dihedral wing, so if you wanted to, you could set this aircraft up as a 3-channel aircraft, but since I want ailerons, I went ahead and cut out the aileron, and I used these connectors. You can see these connectors, they don't stay attached very well, so I reinforced the attachment here with some extra double stick tape, but I had to loop it in order to give it the most range of motion. The aircraft came with these levers, and the levers are meant to be able to attach to the aileron, and actually with one servo you could potentially control both ailerons. And I thought it was a little complicated, or overly complicated, so I'm going to head and using 2 servos with a push rod and Z connectors, and it should work just fine. And I'll use a Y connector to the aileron channel. Now you can see that I've attached the servos. Decided, as I stated previously, I decided to go ahead and use 2 servos rather than try to use a complicated system with the wires that were included. I made my own servo connectors out of gift cards, and I already have attached the servo wires, and I've attached, and it looks like it works okay now. The next thing is that the kit came with a brushed motor. The brushed motor looks very nice, but I do not have an electronic speed controller for a brushed motor. But on hand, I have a spare motor and electronic speed controller, so I'm going to go ahead and use that instead of the brush motor. Also, I didn't have the gearing to attach the prop to this either. It just came like this. So I plan on using a motor actually out of a drone that I bought at a swap meet, and I've already extended the wires so that it'll fit through the body and can be able to connect up to the electronic speed controller inside. So I'm going to go ahead and make a plywood mount for the motor. So I went ahead and made the plywood motor mount, and you can see that I glued the motor mount to the front of the airplane, and I have strapping tape that is holding it in place. The glue generally doesn't hold it in place, but the strapping tape with some extra tape on top will hold it in place nicely. I've done this with other foam board. You can see that I fed the electronic speed controller through, and I did have to drill a hole. You can see in there I did have to drill a hole to get the wires through, since I was using a different kind of engine mount. I also glued in place the servos for the elevator and the rudder. And the next step is to figure out how I'm going to attach the battery. The battery bay is for the old style NIMH batteries that were popular before the... Actually, they were popular before the LiPo batteries came on the market. The wing is essentially done, and I'm going to figure out whether I'm going to use the standard wing attachment or whether I'm going to use rubber bands. This is the new look at the E-starter. I put all the decals. I installed the front cowling. I had to cut it because it wouldn't fit with this different motor. I put a receiver in. You can see the wires sticking out from the back. I installed the landing gear. You can see how flimsy this rear landing gear is, so I think I'm going to remove it and not use it. I also installed the servo wires and connected them with the again, I used the homemade. I used the gift cards for to connect the servo to the elevator and the rudder. The kit came with an engine mount to put the old style NIMH batteries in there, and I decided to go ahead and just close it up and install the battery on the outside. That makes it much quicker to change. And I'm holding it in place with Velcro and a rubber band. So I also checked the CG. According to the book, I marked the CG here, and as you can see, if I balance the CG, you can see that it balances pretty nicely. So that's it. So I'm ready to fly it on Monday. Maybe just a few more finishing touches, and hopefully everything will go and the maiden flight will be successful. So that's the end of the video. Again, I'd like to thank Glen for giving me this plane. It was fun to build, and certainly I'm excited to fly it.